Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, with Mervyn Price, co-host, and Tommy Habib. He is Habib, pardon me. He is our sitting in here with us. All right, today's guest, Lori Ashmore Peters, Ashmore Law Firm. AshmoreLaw.com is her website. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Talk to us about a little bit about your background, how you got in the business, and what areas of law that you focus on. And as we said in the last segment, Merv is a friend of yours. He knows you. And then definitely, Merv, please chime in.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, yes, our website is AshmoreLaw.com. Ashmore Law Firm. My brother and I are the partners in the firm. We kind of got into this business because my dad is a former probate judge here in Dallas. Had no intentions of following in his footsteps, but here I am. Our firm is a general civil practice. I choose to focus on estate planning, probate, and guardianship. We also handle family law and personal injury.
Okay. What about a will? We're going to start with that. Do I really need one? I'm sure everybody says yes, but there's different degrees of yes on that one.
Yes, everyone needs a will. I will tell you, the staggering statistic is 70% of Americans do not have a will.
Right.
And what I tell people is if you choose not to have a will, that's your estate plan. You've chosen it, and you've just chosen to do nothing. If you do nothing, it's the state of Texas and a probate judge that doesn't know you from Adam that determines who's in control and who gets your assets.
Okay. All right. I don't like that option very much. All right. So on that note, how do I protect my assets?
You need a will. The will, when you draft one, you're choosing who controls your assets to make the distribution, and you're controlling who gets your assets. There are so many different ways to protect your assets. The will is the start of it. There are trusts. There are family limited partnerships. There are so many estate planning vehicles out there. It just depends on what your priorities are.
You're a prolific author. I've got a whole slew of books out here.
This is a brilliant book I'm reading right now.
What is it?
This is Judge Joe, Lori Ashmore, and Gary Ashmore's book, Do I Really Need a Will? And I confess, Lori, I do apologize earlier when I made myself look stupid and said that both of my executors of my will are dead. Does it make a difference?
And now do you know?
No, that's why I make an appointment to come to your firm with Marion. Anyway, let's get on with this. Tell us, my wife works in a law firm, as you know. She keeps talking about probate. What is it?
Probate in the state of Texas is a very simple process. We have a lot of people, you create your will, and that's all well and good. But when you die, the will has absolutely no effect whatsoever until you go through the probate process, meaning you actually go to a court, talk to a probate judge, and they admit the will to probate. Otherwise, it's just as good as the piece of paper it's written on and nothing more. But unfortunately, the certains in life, as we know, are death and taxes, and you just have to make sure that you have everything in your control and that you've made all of your own decisions.
I'm interested in guardianship and what it is, because I have both an aging mother and an aging mother-in-law and grandchildren, and people keep talking about guardianship.
I tell people, in the state of Texas, you have the legal right to do whatever you want, enter into contracts, spend money, buy a car, until a court legally determines you incapacitated, and it's only a court that can legally determine you incapacitated. We always have the clients and potential clients that come in where son and daughter take mom to the doctor. Doctor says mom is suffering Alzheimer's. She can't make her financial decisions. Brother goes back to work. Daughter takes mom to the bank and has mom change all of the beneficiary designations to daughter, sign a deed over to the house to daughter, and until a court legally declares mom incapacitated, mom still has the right to do all of that, even though a doctor just said she does not understand what she's doing.
That counts out my mother-in-law then. She's 91 and just bought a new car. Yeah, a Lexus.
There you go.
Like that. Michael, over to you.
Yeah, sure. You've got a lot of educational products here. Talk to us, if we can just change tack for just a second. You do a lot of education for people.
We do.
Tell me about that.
For us, the main thing is just to educate the public out there.
Right.
We can write a lot of papers using what we call legalese that nobody really understands. But for us, it's just really explaining it in a way that everyone and anyone can understand it. Especially with estate planning and probate and guardianship, it touches everybody. I don't care what age you are. And it's just something that everybody really needs to understand. So we are very educational with our books. You know, I just wrote recently a guardianship book that is being edited right now and hopefully will be out within the next couple of months. You know, we write a lot of blogs, a lot of articles, keeping up to date on things. And it's just important for you to be educated to understand what your options are. And again, do I really need a will? Read the book, and if you choose not to have one, that's your estate plan and that's your choice.
I got to go here. You've got to have some kind of horror stories about, I told you, and it didn't happen. Can you break one out for us?
You know, unfortunately, we tell people we always have to plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Right.
We have a ton of horror stories. You know, the sad statistic is the divorce rate is always on the increase and always on the rise. And we tell people, you know, when you do your estate plan, you always want to think twice about leaving everything outright to your spouse, because God forbid if you die, your spouse gets to change whatever they want. And so it's just making sure you have the proper plan in place so that you're taking care of your kids and your spouse can do whatever they want with their money.
Well, we were talking earlier, and you were saying the difference nowadays is people are actually coming to the realization that, you know, they always insure the man. They're worried about, if you're getting into a male-dominated society, worried about his income. But what about the mother?
That's exactly right. A lot of times, you know, we'll meet with husband and wife. They've got young kids, and I know this goes to the retail aspect of the life insurance policies that David was talking about in segment 1. But, you know, the man he's working, the wife is a stay-at-home mom, and, you know, they're like, well, yes, we have plenty of insurance, so God forbid if anything happens to husband, wife, you know, can continue with the income. The problem is if anything happens to the wife, where does your child care go?
Right.
Extracurricular activities, getting your kids to school, you know, I mean, it really can hit you hard. And so you need to make sure that husband and wife are both adequately insured.
So people can look to you for that kind of advice also, not just about a will or guardianship.
Absolutely, because what a lot of people don't understand is a will controls what you want to do, but it's only half of your bucket,
Right.
Okay? Whether someone has $50,000 or $50 million, every single one of their assets belong in one of two buckets. And if you get the books, you'll read about it. It's as simple as a probate bucket and a non-probate bucket. Probate bucket, your will only controls those assets. Your non-probate bucket is your life insurance, where you've properly designated a beneficiary, any retirement, annuity, 401k, right of survivorship, pay on death. That goes directly to the beneficiary that you've designated. So you have to make sure when you're looking at your estate plan that you're looking at both buckets. Also, the IRS, for the estate tax exemption amount, looks at both buckets. So you may think that you don't have any tax issue, estate tax issue, but if you have a $2, $3, $4, $5 million life insurance policy out there, guess what? You now have an estate tax issue.
What about trusts?
Trusts, there are a lot of different reasons for trusts, and there are a lot of trusts out there.
Right. I mean, that could be a really confusing topic.
It's a topic that we could probably talk about for an hour. You've got a revocable trust, meaning you have full control over it, and the reasons for that are if you have assets, real estate in other states other than Texas, or you have what we call irrevocable trusts where you set them up to benefit your children, and that helps with taxes.
Living trust, not something of this nature. I mean, there can be really confusing.
You have living trusts, you have testamentary trusts, you have revocable, irrevocable, life insurance trusts, you know, charitable remainder trusts, unit trusts. So yes, it can definitely be very confusing, but it's talking to someone that understands what your goals and objectives are and making sure that they explain everything to you and your options.
How are you educating the public? Because I want to go back there and before we close.
We educate the public through the books. We educate the public through our reports and blogs. We do radio shows. We do a lot of presentations, whether it's just to individual organizations or even to businesses. And any opportunity I have, I would love to talk to people just to educate them.
How do they reach you?
They reach me by going to ashmorelaw.com,
Okay.
and they can fill out our form and ask whatever questions they want. and we'll be able to give them any of our books or any of the educational resources that we have on our website.
Okay.
Laurie, when I was at college, I learned about a lot of things, but no one came to the college and taught me anything about the wills, the probates, or those things. So I grew up totally ignorant of it, and I still am.
Here's what I'm going to tell you that a lot of parents have to realize is when you're 18 years old, your kids, they're adults. That you can't get into their bank accounts, you can't make their medical decisions. So we tell a lot of the parents, if your kids are going off to college, they need the ancillary documents, meaning the powers of attorney, the directive to physicians that talks about life support, the HIPAA authorizations, because God forbid if the worst happens while your son or daughter are off at college, you can't handle their banking, you can't handle their medical decisions, you can't handle their leases, their contracts, their schooling.
You're scaring
completely
me.
in the dark.
You're scaring me now.
That's why they need those documents in place if you're over the age of 18.
Wow.
One last question. Anything else before we close, Merv?
No, but it's basically getting the word out, and Laurie looks great today. I know her dad, Judge Joe, she's got much better dress sense than her dad, I will say that. And,
I appreciate that.
And I know her family quite well. All I can say is that I feel humbled and educated and a bit dumb because I haven't got any of that knowledge at all.
Well, AshmoreLaw.com will help that out, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Laurie, thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate your time here today.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Laurie.
All right, you've been listening to Mervyn Price, Michael Yorba on CEO Money. Today's guest, Laurie Ashmore, Peters, AshmoreLaw.com. On the other side of this break, we'll be right back with Kevin Davis, CEO, OTC Watch. We'll be right back.